Hey all, and welcome to Shadow of Space. And we are commenting on another BCB video. This one is called Republican Destroys Woke Democrat Mayor and Socialist at the Same Time on stage during LA Mayor Debate. This was uploaded May 6th. This is being recorded May 7th, and link is in the description.
Right, so let me follow up on the fires, though. One gets the impression, based on what we saw, that you prioritized wages and benefits, a hike in the salaries of the firefighters union over the operations budget. We saw those pictures of those engines that were inoperable because they didn't have enough mechanics to fix them.
Well,
was that a mistake? Explain that decision.
Let me just say, first of all, the primary problem there was that the chief sent home 1,000 firefighters. We actually had fire trucks with not enough firefighters there. So yes, there were fire trucks that were broken, but there.
So your decision was to pay them more money instead of actually hire on more?
There were also fire trucks that were out of use because she had sent the firefighters home. You are correct. There was supposed to have been deployment and pre-deployment in the area. That did not happen. But the same way that LA was not prepared, neither was the county.
Thank you.
As mayor, I'm going to add 20 dip sites all around the communities connecting to pools. So God forbid the water system goes down again, these dip sites that will be connected to individuals' pools will fill up for the helicopters to have water.
Mayor, perhaps you have a response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. He's saying several things that are completely inaccurate. First of all, there was one reservoir that was out of commission. He is correct. 1,000,000 years ago, it was for wildfires, but over the last 30, 40 years, it's been for drinking water. He talked about the winds. That is just completely inaccurate. If that were accurate, then the planes would have been able to fly. And so the winds reached close to 100 miles an hour, and the planes were unable to fly. So if there were reservoirs, if that reservoir had been open, it would not have worked. We had two other reservoirs totaling 8 billion gallons that were available. But could not fly.
Yes, she mentioned me. So she's an incredible liar. Everyone on their phones, Google it. 40 weather stations in the Pacific Palisades. It never went above 40 miles per hour. She is referencing the Altadena fire.
I have to interrupt you. No name calling,
She just
please.
lied, though.
Yeah, but no name calling.
She called me a liar.
She just lied, though. She called me a liar.
So
See,
we got to talk about
when it's her saying that because she did say that he lied or something. Said he mischaracterized.
Will fill up for the helicopters to have water.
Mayor, perhaps you have a response to that?
Yeah, absolutely. He's saying several things that are completely inaccurate. First of all, there was one
Didn't call him a
reservoir that
liar.
was out of.
Said that he said things that were inaccurate.
No name calling,
She just
please.
lied, though.
Yeah, but no name calling.
She called me a liar.
boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
No, she said that you were incorrect.
So we got to talk about the Los Angeles mayoral debate featuring woke failing mayor Karen Bass, woke socialist Nithya Raman, and fed up everyday normal person who's decided to.
Why do they have the star like this, with this little bit coming out at the end? Why not have a flag like the logo?
Run for office because he's been screwed over by Democrats for far too long. Spencer Pratt, right, who is also running as a Republican. And during this debate, I think that Spencer Pratt put on an absolute clinic, a show, a great example for Republicans on how to take down these Democrats on the core issues that Republicans are the strongest on, okay? And I want to go over a couple of segments in this debate. I think that Spencer Pratt did a really, really, really good job. Like, for example, public safety, right? Outlining the issues, the problems with public safety, with policing in these high crime liberal cities like Los Angeles. Take a look.
In many cases, what is your strategy for getting more people, recruiting more officers and paying for them?
You know, it's more expensive than hiring them is overtime, because that's what these salaries for the fire department that everyone's complaining about. Everyone's understaffed.
It is
So,
true.
first off, I'm going to bring hiring back to the LAPD. Right now, the LAPD is hired by the same people that hire sanitation, and we need to bring it back like it was 20 plus years ago, so that police hire police. And we need a 10-year plan. It's going to take 10 years to get to the 12,500 officers that we need, and that needs to be a priority. Our sheriff's partner, they're the same size. They have $1 billion more budget for the same size. So this idea.
See, he has a 10-year plan, supposedly, for how he's going to get police recruitment back up.
That Councilwoman Rahman keeps
That's a
saying
plan.
the police department
That's something that I can tangibly read and say, I agree with this, I agree with this, I agree with this, I don't necessarily agree with this, but everything else is okay.
overfunded. Public safety should be our #1 priority. And we're going to find all this money when we stop her useless open bed plans that actually doesn't put drug addicts in these housing that we're spending billions of dollars. And we're going to actually start checking where this money is going. Not to mention, when you get rid of all the drug addicts off the street, the police won't be responding to the drug addicts all day long.
Thank you. Councilwoman, you can respond.
Langer's Deli, which, as you all know, is a staple of downtown Los Angeles, is asking all of you on the stage right now to end the Needle Run giveaway program. So my question, Mayor, first of all to you, yes or no? It's run by the city run needle program.
Right.
Yes or no?
Yeah, you said that wrong.
Yes.
Wait.
Councilmember Rahman?
No.
Mr. Pratt?
Absolutely no needles and pipes for drug addicts on the street ever.
Got it. I'll take that as a yes.
Sorry.
Downtown is so unsafe now that they have to serve the food. All the employees have to eat inside. They can't risk going out. That's why all these beautiful restaurants are closing, because it's so unsafe. So before we require city workers to go back into any buildings, we need to enforce the laws on the street. Councilwoman Rahman is talking about safety, yet when animal rescue activist Rebecca Corey came in and said the dogs are being tortured and abused on the streets of downtown, she walked out of the hearing. She doesn't care about safety. She doesn't care about anything she's talking about. At least Mayor Bass pretends to care.
Mayor.
Well, the good news is when I enforce the law and clear the street of the drug addicts that have taken over 40 blocks of downtown LA, abandoned buildings that have
LA remains one of the most least affordable regions in the country, but it's one policy would change immediately.
drug addicts, just lighting them on fire every other day, I will have potentially 20,000 units available to build. And thankfully, I spent a lot of time in a town that has a lot of builders, and I see all the new 3D printing and the potential of how fast we can do it. And with this ED1 that Mayor Bass is talking about, I met with the developer this week, Carlos, and he said, yes, she did an initiative where she fast-tracked it 6 months. It's been 2.5 years, and he hasn't been able to get his permits. The best part is some of these developers that are taking all of our tax money are charging $750 a square.
See, and that's what does it matter that permits are up 60% when it's going to take you 2 years, or 3 years, 5 years to build one house? Small house, not even a big one.
Foot for stuff that should be costing $250. And Councilwoman Rahman, this plan that she's going to build all these units, guess what? She's going to sue all the people that actually rents to the tenants, and then they're not going to even want to rent to anybody because she wants people to squat in there for a year and not pay. So I don't know how her plan's going to work.
Councilmember Rahman, you have.
This is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mayor Bass?
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
Depends on what?
Well, first of all, when you say non-citizens, it doesn't mean they're here illegal. It doesn't mean they're undocumented. They could have green.
So you think someone who's here on a tourist visa should have the right to vote in your elections? In our federal elections? You think that? You seriously think that?
cards. They could be here perfectly legal, and there's a lot of states and cities that do that on very, very local elections. We have to see what the councilman is proposing.
Councilmember
Why?
Freeman.
Yeah, I would say, again, it does depend. In other places, school boards have
was a yes or no question.
non-citizens
Yes or no?
who, non-citizens who
Mr.
vote
Fred, I have a
for.
We saw that vote the other day. That was literally a difference of 3 votes.
For
Who are
you, you
residents who
told
vote for
NBC
these?
News.
Yeah, so you see now you heard that. Now, let me tell you guys what I really, really, really love about Spencer Pratt. He sounds like just a normal everyday citizen with common sense, right? With common sense. He's not an idiot, okay? He's clearly smart, but more so than anything, he has common sense and he's a normal guy and he understands and sees the problems that every normal person sees with these Democrat-run cities. And also what I love is the fact that he's connecting the issue of homelessness and drug addicts to almost every other issue, like public safety.
Well, because they're a public safety threat. Because if you get them cleaned up and off the streets, then you have more workers. More workers means more income. More income means more people buying things, and more people buying things means more tax money. Instead of sending it to the cartels so that they can continue to buy guns and drugs and just give it to the people, give it back to your own communities.
Which is
No.
obvious, right? We all know why the homelessness and drug problem in LA is an issue for public safety, right? We know that, but he also connected it to affordability as well too. When you're talking about trying to build in places like downtown LA and all of these businesses leaving downtown LA, yeah, homelessness and drug addicts occupying buildings in the downtown area, being agents of chaos in the downtown area, yeah, that contributes to the affordability crisis as well too. So I love how he's really tackling that issue of homelessness. And he's really digging into it and connecting it to everything else, right? Overall quality of life, okay, is deeply connected and rooted in cleaning up the homelessness, getting
Well,
the drug addicts off the street. And I think that is by far the strongest part of his debate performance. And I want to play this segment because he absolutely destroys woke Democrat Mayor Karen Bass and her socialist comrade here, Nithya Raman, at the same time. So let's get into it.
We're going to talk about homelessness. 4 years ago, when we did a debate, it was the #1 topic. It is right up there again. This is an issue that continues to challenge the city. Homelessness, many residents say the homeless in their neighborhoods make them feel unsafe. They feel the homeless have more rights than the residents do. So these are 2 yes or no questions for each of you. Right now, getting off the
well,
street is
see, again, if they had work, if they had a job, if they had something to do during the day, they wouldn't just wander around the neighborhood.
voluntary. Should that change if a bed or a shelter is available? Mr. Pratt, we're going to start with you. Yes or no?
It's illegal to live on the street. So, yes, everyone needs to go inside.
Okay, Mayor Bass.
Everybody needs to go inside. Making it illegal and arresting people is not the way to solve this problem.
Ms. Rahman.
See, but it is though, because a jail cell is a shelter. It's a roof and 4 walls. Granted, it's in a cell. Like, maybe you should have facilities in the police station for homeless people instead of just prison cells. Have, like, basic cots, have blankets, have, like, snacks.
Yes, people need to go inside. When they're offered shelter, they go inside.
You don't get an opportunity
It is
to say
illegal.
no. So it's unanimous here. Next question. Do you support the ordinance that restricts encampments?
She didn't even
in front
answer
of
the
schools
question
or
right.
Daycare centers. Mayor Bass, I'm going to start with you. Yes, or no? Ms. Rahman, yes or no?
I support keeping our streets
Don't
safe. I
filibuster.
did vote against the structure of this particular ordinance. And it is because, at its best,
yes or no.
it does not, the way this ordinance was structured,
It's
no
a yes
does,
or no.
it does
Yes
not
or
keep,
no.
it
We'll
does
take
not
that
keep
as
our
a
It's no for
children
her.
safe.
I'll
It does not
answer
keep
for
our
her.
children safe. No,
She's gonna take too long.
keep our children safe enough.
Yo, this socialist is crazy, bro. She's crazy.
Well,
She's
they
absolutely.
act like somehow a justification will make it okay, will make it not as controversial. It doesn't matter your rationale.
Absolutely insane. She is a maniac, and right now apparently she has the best chance of winning. It's crazy. This woman. It's a very simple question. Do you support the ordinance that restricts encampments?
See, but she goes into the word salad with all of the humanitarian nonsense that sounds good, and all of the people who have short attention spans are just immediately drawn to her because she's the only person who sits there and just doesn't stop talking.
In front of schools or daycare centers. Basically, are you in support of homeless
1 second. We're back.
drug addicts being allowed to set up encampments in front of schools and daycares? It's a very simple question. And she gives this long-winded, academic
I mean,
sounding answer to a
right?
question.
Like, what even was her answer? 11:38.
Next question. Do you support the ordinance that restricts encampments in front of schools or daycare centers? Mayor Bass, I'm going to start with you.
Hold on.
Let's okay, Mayor Bass.
Everybody needs to go inside. Making it illegal and arresting
Because
people is not
even this answer made no sense. It was just rambling.
the way to solve this problem.
Ms. Rahman.
Yes, people need to go inside. When they're offered shelter, they go inside.
You don't get an opportunity
It is
to say
illegal.
no.
It
So
is.
it's unanimous here. Next question. Do you support the ordinance?
You don't get an opportunity to say no. I don't. You don't get an opportunity to explain.
That restricts encampments in front of schools or daycare centers. Mayor Bass, I'm going to start with you. Yes, or no? Ms. Rahman, yes or no?
I support keeping our streets safe. I did vote against the structure of this particular ordinance. And it is because, at its best,
yes or no.
it does not, the way this ordinance was structured, it
no.
does,
It's
it
no.
does
Yes
not
or
keep,
no?
it
We'll
does
take
not
that
keep
as a
our
no.
children safe. It does
Mr.
not keep our
Pratt.
children safe. No,
Mr.
it
Pratt.
doesn't keep our children safe enough.
Yo,
This is how afraid they are. They are so worried about going against previously existing legislation that they can't even say that this law is unjust and I want to be against it. This action isn't having the intended result, so we should just stop doing it and we should try something else. She isn't allowed to say that, and she has to go into this word salad to try to appease her base so that they don't go flying off the handle when she says something that they potentially aren't going to like.
Socialist is crazy, bro. She's
It's
crazy.
fear.
She's absolutely insane. She is a maniac, and right now apparently she has the best chance of winning. It's crazy. This woman. It's a very simple question. Do you support the ordinance that restricts encampments in front of schools or daycare centers? Basically, are you in support of homeless drug addicts being allowed to set up encampments in front of schools and daycares? It's a very simple question.
Well, I mean, this is like Kamala Harris being asked if you do, is there anything that you would do different during your administration than you're doing now? Basic layup question. What is your plan? How will your campaign look any different from this current administration? She couldn't give an answer. She was like, oh no, everything's great, and I'm just going to do everything the way it was. She can't say flatly, no, I don't think that it's appropriate for homeless encampments to be near schools or daycare centers. She can't say it.
And she gives this long-winded, academic sounding answer to a question that's very simple, right? You either support it or you don't. Okay? A person with common sense is a very easy answer to the question. I don't support allowing homeless encampments in front of schools and daycares. Now, here's the difference. Here's the difference, right? This woman, the socialist, can't say with a straight face that we shouldn't have that, right? In fact, she's on record voting to allow it, right? Okay, voting against getting the homeless off the streets in front of schools and daycares, right? So we know that she's totally fine with it. Karen Bass pretends that she's for not allowing the homeless to be there, right? For restricting homeless encampments in front of schools and daycares. But yet, look at her actual governance, right? Look at how she actually governs. So she'll say the right thing. She'll pretend that she has common sense, right? She's savvy enough as a lying Democrat to pretend to be on the right side.
Well, I mean,
but
like,
again, look at how she actually.
she is going on the stage and saying that she opposes legislation. Support the ordinance that restricts encampments. So this ordinance is already in place? Or they're thinking about it?
Governed. Spencer Pratt is the only person on stage that, in my opinion, I think actually really supports restricting encampments in front of schools or daycare centers, aka not allowing.
Well, he's probably the only one that would actually do it. The moment she started to get pushback, she would probably stop, and she probably wouldn't ever do it. So,
drug addicts to camp out in front of schools and daycare centers. I think he's the only one on stage that actually believes in the common sense.
Simple yes or no question, Mr. Pratt.
What I was saying is she's fighting because she doesn't think there's a difference between 1 foot or 500 feet for kids' safety with drug addicts with machetes
Again,
in front of
take
schools.
that yes or no.
Of course, we do not want encampments in front of schools, parks, daycare.
Okay,
I don't want vehicles.
Mayor, you had talked about inside safe. Let's go into that a little bit. You've suggested that there has been progress made, but even the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, which the city contracts with, has said that upwards of 40% have left and gone back to the street. I mean, there's a concern.
see, because they choose it. This is what you say, that there's a solution to homelessness, but they choose to live this way. If a trans person wants to mutilate their genitals to have the sex organs that look like the opposite sex, and I'm just supposed to sit here and applaud, but when someone chooses to live in a tent on the side of the road, I'm supposed to look at it appalling? I don't understand. Something doesn't make sense. You give clean needles to people who use drugs in the open air so that they don't get an infection and die. But then you say that them living on the street and doing that is a problem. So your only solution is to build houses for them and then pay for them to live in them. Like, that's not a solution to homelessness.
There's been some progress, certainly not enough. I'll have you defend your program.
So, Conan, I declare a state of emergency.
That's not a solution to homelessness. That's keeping them homeless, but putting a roof over their head.
On day one, because I know that what Angelenos want to see are their streets clear. Inside Safe is the only citywide program that we have had that has reduced homelessness 2 years in a row. Prior to that, there was no citywide strategy, and homelessness was going up year after year. We need to have an entirely new system that is frankly independent in the city of Los Angeles.
Even though you've done more in the past 2 years than has ever been done in the history of the state, it still isn't enough.
Because we need to build out services once we get people off the street. The same report also said that 60% of the people in Inside Safe stay inside. So
yeah, but not all of them do. So the people who choose to stay outside are putting their tents right next to schools. And you don't care about that.
It is a program that is working. Absolutely. Does it need to be better? Does it need to be more cost effective? And we're working on that right now.
Then you're not solving homelessness. Then people are still homeless that you are completely abandoned to try to help these people who are in these low-income houses. You have no solution. You have a solution for those people that you want, that have already latched on and are primed to be re-engineered, re-educated back into the system. All of the people who have not done that, you have completely abandoned, and you don't care.
By building
Sitting here saying, "Oh, I should pat myself on the back for doing such a good job with homelessness."
structures on city-owned property. We can do this, Los Angeles. We have been doing it for the last 3 years, and it's the first time
First it was 2 years, now it's 3 years.
homelessness has gone down.
But the next time it's going to be 5 years. They've been doing it since the 1400s.
Councilmember Raman, so you promised to clear half of the encampments by the Olympics and all of it by the end of your term.
See, we're talking about homeless encampments. You immediately started to say, well, most of them aren't in encampments. Okay, so what about the ones that aren't encampments? She didn't say anything about it. Dodged the question. Didn't actually answer it.
Yes.
My question to you, you've been in the city council for 5 years. Why are we barely seeing this plan yesterday? I think it was posted on your Instagram. And is this realistic?
Absolutely, it's realistic, and it's realistic because I've done it in my own district. This is exactly the plan that I've operationalized in my district to get a 54% reduction in tents and
5
encampments
years?
in my district
So in 5
3
years.
years.
Okay.
In 3 years. Yes. And I am one council member and proposing a plan for an entire city at this time. It is absolutely realistic. But what I want to go back to is the idea that we are satisfied with our homelessness system right now. I don't think anybody in Los Angeles right now can say that we are satisfied with spending extraordinary amounts of money on our homelessness response and getting only incremental progress.
I don't know, because all of the governors said that Gavin Newsom was doing great and that homelessness was fine. So,
In response,
I don't know what you're
I
talking
want
about.
to change that. Let's use the dollars that we're spending. Let's actually build out a real system that can get as many people indoors as
Two
possible.
completely
Let's not put
opposing
them into
narratives. Which one is
$100,000 a year
correct?
hotel rooms
Both
for a
of these
year or
cannot
more.
be right. Either homelessness is still a problem and isn't being solved, or it isn't a problem and you're doing a good job and you're expecting that it's going to be ended soon, at some point.
More per person. This system is not fiscally sustainable, and we must work to end this crisis with urgency and with
Did not say how she was going to make it more fiscally responsible, did not say what her plan was, said nothing.
accountability right now.
So you'll
not
make a
years into
you'll
the
make
future.
a commitment to clear all the encampments by the end of your term if you get elected.
Yes, that's
Your
correct.
promise.
Absolutely.
Yes, Mayor.
I have to respond because I know the statistics she's talking about in her district, but the statistics are there because of Inside Safe, because she has called on Inside Safe repeatedly. I took the initiative to go into her district to make sure that encampments were cleared. We absolutely need.
First and foremost, does anybody believe these numbers, bro? Right? These Democrats be throwing out.
Well, it doesn't matter. If not everyone is going into the program and there are still people in encampments, this does not say how you are getting rid of homeless encampments. This is not saying, like, all of the people who are in low-income housing, they're all housed now. They don't have food, they don't have jobs, they aren't clean, but they at least have homes. The idea that they are without homes is over. But not all of them are. They have not solved homelessness. They have solved it 60%, and now think that because they've solved it 60%, they've solved it 100%. No, you haven't. There are still people living in tents on the street. Despite your best efforts, you still have homelessness. You have not solved it.
These numbers, I'm like, I don't believe that.
You
right?
can sit here and you can congratulate yourself for doing a good job, but you haven't finished yet. You're not done. For you to sit here and praise what you've done as a solution is nonsense when you haven't actually solved it.
I don't believe a liberal study, right? If a
If
liberal study,
if 1 plus 1 is 2, but when you do it, you get 1.6, that isn't 2. It rounds up to 2, but it isn't 2.
I don't believe
You aren't there yet.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at this point, because the propaganda is just it's too deep, right? Like these people, they'll just make stuff up. Oh, we reduce homeless encampments by 40 to 50%. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Well, it doesn't matter. You reduced it. You haven't eliminated it. You still need to find a solution to homelessness. It's what I say. You still have people who do not want to live. You have people who do not want to live in homes. How do you solve the problem of people not wanting to live in homes when it is their choice, and you want them to have the freedom to choose not to live indoors? What is the solution? How do you solve that problem? That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about the people who are already housed and being like, well, I housed all I housed all those people. No, I housed all those people. No, I housed all those people. No, I housed all those people. There are still people without homes. You're completely, you are so high off of your own achievements that you fail to acknowledge the fact that you haven't solved the problem.
Well, I mean, if you reduce homeless encampments by 40-50%, that means that it must have been crazy, right? that must have been a
No, because the homelessness population is probably only like, I don't know, 4%, 5%? God, I would hope that it wasn't like 10 to 15%. But, I mean, out of a few million, maybe, I have no idea how many people live in California, how many people live in LA. A few million at least, so a few percentage of that is going to be a few 100,000, maybe like a little, maybe less than that.
crazy about a homeless encampments because there's still a lot of them. Still a lot of them everywhere in Los Angeles. So, I don't believe these people when it comes to their statistics.
A new system, and it has to have a comprehensive approach.
Because it doesn't solve the homeless that are still there, and it doesn't solve that conditions still exist for more people, young people just now coming up, to become homeless. I gotta fix my camera.
And there's no rooms.
Oops. Sorry. 1 sec. Sorry. We're back. It's more virtue signaling from them. Oh, look at me. Look at how much I'm doing for homelessness. Look at how much I've made an impact. You haven't solved it. The biggest impact in the world doesn't matter if the problem still exists. And unless you eliminate those things which cause homelessness, you're never going to get rid of homelessness. You don't have a solution. And neither do you.
For $100,000.
We need to move on here. Mr. Pratt, you have been critical of what you consider failures of the current administration on this issue. You advocate for what some have called get help or get out of the way. What is that, and how do you do it?
I don't know who made up that name. First off, I just want to say, Councilwoman Robin acts like she doesn't have any authority with this homelessness. She was the third most powerful person in city council. She runs the homeless housing thing. She acts like this is just Mayor Bat.
Can we, I understand you're probably upset. Can we talk about the actual policy instead of just making fun of these two, which they've already been doing the whole time?
First off, inside safe, I like to say inside safe makes all of us outside unsafe. The reality is no matter how many beds you give these people, they are on super meth. They are on fentanyl. The DEA statistic says 93% of this is a drug addiction problem. Nithya, Councilwoman Robbins' plan for treatment first, I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck. These people do not want a bed. They want fentanyl or
See, and this is their choice. So if they choose to live like this, what do you do with them? How do you get them somewhere where they aren't in the public eye, they aren't some sort of menace to public safety, but are still allowed to comfortably live their lives? I mean, I don't want to sound like too much of a fascist, but you almost need some sort of like camp or somewhere to put them. Somewhere with walls that they can't wander into civilization.
These ideas
They're already living on the street. Like, the reason that they're living under the overpass is because it provides shelter from the rain.
$400 million to house for 70, what did you say? 3,000 people for $400 million is an absolute failure for both of them.
It would literally just have to be a structure, just a big concrete box with a big open side that they could walk in and out of.
They're a team.
Would for the most part keep the rain out of them.
Facts. Mic drop.
Have it sloped a little bit so that the water would run off so it wouldn't collect.
He's killing it. And again, the best part about it, he's not a button-up politician. He's just speaking from the heart, right? It's straight from the soul. They're both in the same bed, right? They may seem like they're opposed.
They don't care. The only thing that they want is the recognition and the notoriety about how they solved homelessness. This is
on certain issues, but they're not.
This is where we are. This is modern people helping professions. Is they don't give a shit outside of they want to be remembered by history as having made an impact. That's all they care about. They will look for a problem to try to solve it, to act like they've done something, to validate their existence.
They're on the same team. They're both responsible for the disaster. This woman is a socialist on the LA City Council, right? And you got the woke mayor who's running the city. Both of them are part of the problem. And this dude is called it like it is when it comes to his homelessness issue. And I've said the same thing. I've said the same thing. Some people can't be helped, right?
Well, what does help look like? What sort of help do they need?
Like, it should be illegal to be homeless on the streets, and you should be arrested for it, right? If you're on the streets, you're homeless, and, you refuse it.
Again, this is the problem, is there is no solution. I mean, you say round them up and get them off the streets. I mean, if they're all just going to OD anyways, arguably a solution is you just kill them. No one would agree with that solution, but it's a potential solution. Anything is possible. We live in a land where supposedly we have freedom. Okay, well that means that what we can do, the limits of what we can do, are pretty unlimited. I mean, they're somewhat limited by our technology and our ability to sort of think our way out of the box, but there are potentially an infinite number of things that we could do at any given time. And my internet is probably going to keep going out. Sorry. We're back. Anyways.
To get a job, you refuse to partake in whatever the government is offering for shelter. All right, you say you don't want to do that despite having that available, but despite having that option, then you go to jail. You go to jail. It is what it is. I personally think that, we wouldn't have an issue when it comes to labor that apparently we need, okay? Because, liberals are upset with the illegal immigrants being deported, right? Who's going to pick our cotton, right? Who's going to wipe our asses?
All of the drug-addicted homeless people who can't think of anything else to do.
Well, we got a lot of homeless people who are able-bodied, who can work. Maybe we need to bring back slavery. People gonna think maybe I'm being harsh, or maybe this is controversial, but I don't think.
Well, see, because explain to me how someone who sits all day and just does drugs, explain to me how they're a benefit to society. Explain to me what they're contributing. You're sitting here saying that millionaires need to pay more, but really all that the millionaires are paying for are needles so that the drug addicts don't get infected and die. What is the benefit of them paying for the needle to give to the drug addict? If the drug addict were contributing something, like they were cleaning the beaches, or cleaning the streets, or providing some sort of service, some sort of public utility, that would be one thing. They don't. I mean, and then you're going to say that these people have the right to vote. Why? They don't participate. Should people who don't participate have a say?
It's controversial. Like, I don't understand, why can't you set up a bunch of houses at some field, at some farm, set up a little community where you put all the able-bodied homeless people in the community.
I mean, because I've thought about this, where you could work with like local schools or local universities. You could teach like basic medicine, basic farming and agriculture, make it like as much a learning center to help these people reintegrate and readjust into society. Because ultimately it's the question of freedom and choice. This is how they choose to live. At what point do you, who says that you believe in freedom, have the ability to come to these people and say, okay, your freedom is over because we don't think that you're contributing enough. We don't think you're using your freedom responsibly. Is freedom a guarantee? Is freedom something that you have, or is it a right?
And every day they go out there and they work the plantations, right? They work the farms.
See,
They pick
because
the crop.
because ultimately everyone is a slave. If you work a job that provides a service, you are expected to do that job. You're expected to do that service. Everyone has to toil. Everyone has to labor, whether they want to or not. If you are forced to labor, then you are a slave to whatever it is that you are forced to do. You can enjoy it. You can say, it's hard work. It's kind of boring, but it's something to do. It keeps my mind occupied. It gets me physical exercise, which is something that a lot of people don't get nowadays. So it's fine. I don't care. I do it. Or you can hate it. You can think that it's the worst thing in the world because you don't have the choice to do it, because you didn't have the choice to do it.
You pay a minimum wage, but at the same time they get, subsidized housing. At the very least, they're doing something for society. They're getting paid a little bit, and they get a house. I think that's the best way to deal
because capitalism is based on surplus. So if they can provide for themselves and then can create a surplus, then presumably they would be able to sell their goods outside of the community. They could make money that way. They could actually produce something that was valuable, that brought value to the community. At this point, that's not happening, other than their existence in the community.
with the drug problem. Rehab through purpose. Seriously. Seriously. I think gaining some purpose in life.
I mean, ultimately, the problem would be force. Do they go voluntarily, or do you make them go? Because if you don't make them go, and not all of them end up there, then you still have the same problem of homeless people. My video cut out again. This is just going to keep happening.
great way to, rehab and to get off drugs, right? And addiction and to cure depression and stuff like that. My point is that I'm trying to figure out what is so controversial about getting homeless people off. Like, why is this so difficult? Like, ultimately, at the day, it just shouldn't be allowed. And as a society, we have to toughen up. We're too soft on criminals, and we're too soft on homeless people who are homeless.
Well, because arguably homeless people aren't even criminals. It's the way that they choose to live their lives. It's their lifestyle.
Being able-bodied,
How do we make homeless living more compatible with everyday society?
homeless just because they want to be homeless or because they're addicted to drugs. We're too soft. We're too soft. We got to open back up these mental institutions. We got to have forced labor, right? We got to bring that back. Let me not call it slavery. We got to start locking up criminals.
See, but the people in the institutions weren't forced into labor. They were mentally ill. The whole point is they can't labor because their brains are too screwed up. They physically can't. Just saying, oh, we'll make them work a job isn't a solution. So arguably, just saying, well, have them provide for themselves isn't a solution. So again, what do you do with them?
And I'm telling you, you turn these little cities around.
It's what I say, is there is not a society today that has adequately figured out how to reincorporate the people who absolutely cannot fit into society. No, none of them have.
But
Absolutely none of them.
Be able to stomach doing what needs to be done. That's the biggest problem with this country right now. The biggest problem with this country right now is that we're too soft, right? We cannot stomach the things that we used to be able to.
No, we don't have solutions. I sat here and listened to all three of these people basically talk about how none of them have a solution.
Stomach, right? We used to be.
Her solution is, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Her solution is, despite the fact that she's the one who's been doing things, I'm the one who's actually doing what she thinks that she's doing. And his solution is, I don't even remember because it's been so long.
Like, yeah. Put him in a mental institution, right? Like, he's a crazy person. Now you can't do that, right? Now it's like, well, is that ethical? Is that moral? Right?
Well, because it turned out that there was a whole bunch of abuse and corruption and problems that were happening in the institutions.
And it's like, man, y'all don't want to live in a decent society. What's wrong with these people, man? I'm looking out for normal, regular, everyday, hardworking folks who simply want to enjoy.
Then why put them in prisons? Why do you care what happens to the people that you don't care about? Why does it matter? You don't care about them. They could all go away, and it wouldn't matter.
The only life that we got, right? You got one life, okay? And
so do they.
I just want people who contribute positively to society to be able to enjoy that life to the fullest, right? That is where my core ideology comes from when it comes to crime, right? When it comes to homelessness.
So then, what do you do with people who aren't necessarily criminals, but who either can't, but who won't, or can't contribute to society?
When it comes to drug addicts.
And that's what, remember that prison means you're paying for their meals, you're paying for the roof of their head, you're paying for the electricity for the lights and the running water, you're paying for heated water, you're paying for people to look after them, you're paying for people to administer their meds, you're paying for the meds. All of that's cost. You're gonna pay for that for all that? Forever, for the rest of their lives until they die. And even after that, because the children who are coming up are going to have the same mental illnesses, are going to have the same problems, are going to end up having to use these spaces. It's a perpetual problem. It's the reason that we don't have a solution, because you can't just fix it on a surface level local area. It's a deeper problem than that.
Just get him out, right? Get him out of here. I don't want him out. I don't want him around, right?
They think that addressing
Councilmember.
the surface level, they think getting them out of tents and getting them in structures is all that's necessary. It's
Robin, you have
not.
30 seconds
Yeah,
to respond.
I want
In
to
fact,
just
I think now that I think about it, his solution was what, rehab or prison?
say to everybody who's watching today, you're going to watch today as Mayor Bass and Spencer Pratt attack me because they want to run against each other in the general election.
Yeah, because you're the one who has the better odds. So yeah, they are teaming up against you.
Each of them thinks that running against each other is what's going to help them win. And they don't want to run against me because my ideas, which are based on real
Then why are they both attacking you? That doesn't make sense.
results in my district,
Socialism.
which are based on real data, a real analysis of the system, and a focus on accountability and using every dollar as effectively as possible, which we have done in my district. I want to take this citywide. This is why this is
You know
happening
what?
today.
Councilmember
Excuse me.
Rahman, we're out of time. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to respond to this.
Can I would
Mr.
love
Pratt,
to
I'm going to start with
Thank
you, and then I'm going to go to Mayor Bass.
First off, Mayor Bass and I are definitely not working together. I blame this person for burning my house and my parents' house and my town and all my neighbors down. I am not working with Mayor Bass. Second off, if I wanted to run against anybody, it would be the council member who is terrible. Mayor Bass has at least been a mayor for almost 4 years and has, as she talked about earlier, the unions, all the unions endorsed Mayor Bass. You think it's easier to run against the incumbent mayor with all the unions or a random city council member who's been a failure for 6 years? I would much rather run against Councilwoman Rahman. Thank you very much.
Very much, Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, so you see that you heard that. I love this guy, right? I love this guy because he just keeps it 100, right? He just speaking like a normal person, just fed up. I'm fed up with these Democrats. I know how you feel.
See,
Yeah, man.
and it's why he might not have the best chances, because he doesn't really have plans. He has, well, the Democrats haven't done a good job. I mean, it's like, you talk about TDS, but there's like the right wing, because they're both sides of the same coin, right? So if there's TDS, then the right wing needs its own equivalent of like woke derangement syndrome, where the moment they start to see the buzzwords, they just it triggers them. The end of this? No, we're not. Okay.
I'm hoping that the residents of Los Angeles wake up, right? They choose common sense because clearly common sense is on the stage. It's common sense or insanity, right? And personally, I think that LA is probably going to choose insanity, but I do think that the Republicans who are running in some of these major races in California, I think they're doing a damn good job exposing the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party of California is the Democrat Party of America, right? That's who they actually really are, right? They are the
I don't know, because there was the one person the other day who was saying that that wasn't true.
California Democrats. What you see on the governor debate stage, on the mayor debate, this is what these people actually really believe at the national level as well too. Okay, that's the direction they want to take this country in, and I think that's the main takeaway here. And I think at the very least, win or lose, Republicans are putting this on display for the country to see. And I'm hoping that people wake up and realize that these people they're gonna turn our country into a dump, right? That's what they're gonna do. It's gonna be an absolute disaster if these people take back power and control. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
I mean, arguably, it already is. Again, just people living in the storm drains. I don't think I need to say anymore.